I'm Rajabhat from Gakharia. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 20th of February, 2025. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. On Thursday the 13th, the European Parliament passed a resolution urging the European Council and member states to impose sanctions on people close to Bidzina Ivanishvili who back the repressive government system. The resolution demands an end to the crackdown on peaceful protesters, political opponents, and the media. It highlights the government's violation of human rights, recognizes Zourabishvili as the legitimate president of Georgia, and supports her efforts to bring the country back to a democratic European path. The resolution also calls for new parliamentary elections, ensuring they're free and fair with international oversight. It stresses that the EU member states should keep a close watch on the situation and suggests reconsidering Georgia's visa-free status if the country continues to fail to meet democratic standards. In other news, Tvary, the largest opposition TV channel, has partially suspended its daily operations. Since Saturday the 15th, the channel has only been airing reruns of movies and TV shows. Gakharia, the channel's general director, says the financial difficulties Tvary is facing is caused by its co-founder Zaza Okurashvili, who is blocking all financial transactions necessary for the channel's survival. Gakharia says that Okurashvili's goal is to shut down the channel permanently, driven by a secret arrangement with Bidzina Ivanishvili. Okurashvili denies these allegations, stating that he wants the channel to continue operating, but will no longer allow Gakharia and Nika Gvaramia, who controls the channel behind the scenes, to use Tvary for money laundering and personal enrichment. He also says the decision to suspend operations was made illegally by Gakharia and is part of a smear campaign against him. Next up, in the early morning on Monday the 17th, a group of people confronted former Prime Minister Gakharia as he arrived at Tbilisi's International Airport from the Munich Security Conference, although this time the incident didn't escalate into a physical confrontation with fists. The group threw eggs at Gakharia right at the airport. Classy. A similar incident happened the next day when President Zourabishvili returned from the same conference. Gakharia said that the attack wasn't spontaneous and that Ivanishvili organized it. The police were absent during both cases, although they usually maintain a strong presence at the airport. None of the attackers have so far been detained. President Zourabishvili said she will initiate legal action to ensure that everyone responsible is held accountable. Tragedy struck in Batumi, a seaside city in the west, on Saturday the 15th when two children aged 5 and 7 lost their lives after falling into a water-filled trench on a construction site. After several hours of searching, the rescuers found the children's bodies, took them to the hospital, but doctors could not save them. The incident occurred in the City of Dreams district, which started construction in 2020 to house socially vulnerable people. Just a week ago, Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze and Tornike Rizvadze, head of the Ajara government, held a special event there to mark the start of the second phase of construction. Journalists and activists quickly questioned whether the construction site was properly fenced and if safety measures were in place to prevent the tragedy. Instead of taking responsibility, the ruling party accused them of exploiting the tragedy for political gain. In related news, Mzia Maklobeli, the editor of Batumi and Net Gazeti magazines, has ended her 38-day hunger strike. She started the strike to protest her detention on charges of assaulting a police chief. Last week, doctors warned that her condition was close to becoming critical, and her friends and colleagues urged her to stop. On Tuesday, the 18th, she issued a statement from the clinic saying that it became increasingly difficult for her to constantly hear concerns about her health and safety when there were much worse things happening, even in Batumi, like the tragedy at the City of Dreams. As a result, she decided to restore her strength and start eating again. On to our next story. Wednesday the 19th, a camera operator of the opposition channel TV Pirveli was arrested while driving home from a pro-European demonstration. These types of arrests have become common in Georgia over the last 3 months. Citizens witnessed the arrest in the middle of the road and quickly went live on Facebook to share the footage. The police officers wore civilian clothes, dressed all in black, and hid their faces. The operator can be heard shouting that the officers were putting something in his pockets. Later, the Ministry of Internal Affairs stated that he was arrested on administrative charges for refusing to comply with the police request. Footage raised questions of how a civilian being arrested is supposed to identify the officers as police rather than just a group of thugs. You can check out the arrest footage with the link in the show notes. Other headlines: on Monday the 17th, a group of citizens who'd been organizing protests in front of the Georgian public broadcaster since the start of the pro-European demonstrations founded a new left-wing political movement called for social democracy, or Socialuri Demokratistvis. The movement brings together people from different lines of work, backgrounds, and interests inspired by European left-wing politics. It now has over 100 members. Levan Lord Kipanidze, one of the founders, emphasized the movement's goal to ensure every citizen's right to live with dignity. He called for unity among progressive forces to create a fair, more just society where everyone has equal opportunities and rights. Georgian Dream, or the Kotzebes' sham president Kavalashvili, congratulated Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko on winning his 7th term as president. Kavalashvili's fawning and revolting congratulatory message emphasized what he called the long-standing relationship between Georgia and Belarus, highlighting mutual respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity as the foundation of their cooperation. He expressed hope for further development in their bilateral relations. On Monday the 17th, Yulia Navalnaya, widow of the late Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, commented on the ongoing protests in Georgia during an interview at the Munich Security Conference. She expressed admiration for people participating in these anti-government pro-European protests. Navalnaya highlighted the importance of supporting individuals fighting for their rights in countries that Russia targets through hybrid warfare. She asked what advice she would give to Georgian protesters. She responded that Russians are the ones who should be asking them for advice. Speaking of Russia, on Wednesday the 19th, Sergei Lavrov, its foreign minister, said that the 3+3 format is still open to Georgia. In 2020, Turkish President Erdogan proposed this regional cooperation format, which includes Turkey, Russia, Iran, and Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia. Purpose is to ensure peace and stability in the South Caucasus. Georgia has not joined the platform so far due to its widespread anti-Russian sentiment in the country. However, considering its strained relationship with Western allies and ruling parties' increasingly close ties to Russia and other autocrats, Georgia is now more likely to consider joining the format. According to the National Bank of Georgia, the total number of remittances sent to Georgia from foreign countries in January was just over 242 million US dollars, which is 680 million lari. This figure is 8.5% lower than the amount recorded in January last year. The largest share of transfers came from the U.S., accounting for nearly 20%, totaling $47 million. Italy followed closely with $46 million, while Russia ranked third with $25 million. Although remittances to Georgia declined compared to last January, the amount of money sent out of the country increased by over 8%, totaling $28 million. Closing with cultural news, the new music video of the song titled Fucked Up by American rapper Macklemore, which was published on YouTube on Wednesday, the 12th, heavily features video footage from the pro-European demonstrations in Georgia. Particularly prominent are clips of an altercation between the police and demonstrators. Music video also has footage from Israel-Palestine conflict and civil protests in the United States. It has over 1 million views. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us, but don't leave yet. In case you didn't know, if you're listening to us on Spotify, you can leave comments or questions in the episode. Check out the comment box. Don't worry, they're private by default. We will not publish them. If you want us to get back to you, put your email in there. Your feedback makes our updates better. Nach Fundis.